The Galactic Council chamber floated in the darkness of space like a jewel. It orbited Axiom Prime, a world that belonged to no one and everyone. Inside the massive dome, 12 species sat in a perfect circle. Each had their own elevated platform. Each had ruled the stars for thousands of years. Each believed they knew everything about civilization. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood at the human platform. She wore a simple black suit. Her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun. Her face showed nothing. No fear, no excitement, just calm. Behind her, 2 steps back and slightly to the left, stood Marcus Webb. He held a leather briefcase in both hands. His gray suit was forgettable. His face was the kind you would not remember 5 minutes after seeing it. He looked down at the floor most of the time. The Vrex ambassador clicked his mandibles together. The sound echoed through the chamber. His species looked like massive insects standing upright. Shining black armor covered their bodies. 4 arms crossed over his thorax. His compound eyes reflected the light in strange ways. "The Vrex Dominion objects to this vote," he announced. His voice came through a translator, harsh and mechanical. "Humanity has existed in space for barely 200 years. They are children. They are weak. Their lives are so short they die before they learn wisdom." Elena did not move. She had heard this speech before. 3 times this month alone, the Thalasi ambassador raised a tentacle. Her species lived underwater on their home world. Here she floated in a sphere of liquid. The Thalasi collective believes all species deserve a chance. Humans have shown remarkable progress. The Vrex ambassador turned his bulk toward the Thalasi. They still fight wars on their own planet. They still kill each other over resources and beliefs. They are savages in expensive clothes. Elena finally spoke. Her voice was steady and clear. "The Vrex Dominion fought the border wars for 3 centuries. 17 billion dead. Your people only stopped when you ran out of soldiers. Glass houses, ambassador. Be careful with stones." Several ambassadors made sounds of surprise. The Vrex ambassador's mandibles clacked rapidly. Anger. Marcus Webb shifted his weight slightly. The movement was small. No one noticed. The council leader, an ancient being from the eldest species, raised one crystalline hand. "We will proceed with the vote. All those in favor of granting humanity full council membership." The explosion cut off his words. The entire station shook. Lights flickered. Somewhere below the main chamber, metal screamed as it tore. Emergency alarms began to wail. The artificial gravity stuttered for 3 seconds. Long enough for everyone to feel their stomachs drop. Long enough for panic to start. What is happening? The Thalasi ambassador's sphere sloshed wildly. More explosions. Closer this time. The main doors to the chamber blew inward. Smoke filled the room. Through the smoke came soldiers. Not soldiers, terrorists. Elena recognized the markings immediately. Kresh separatists. They wore combat armor covered in symbols of their fallen empire. Each carried weapons that hummed with charged energy. 20 of them poured into the chamber. They moved quickly, efficiently. They had done this before. 4 took positions at each exit. The rest spread out, weapons aimed at the ambassadors. A Kresh warrior stepped forward, taller than the others, more scars on his armor. "I am Commander Zralth. You are all now prisoners of the Kresh Liberation Front. You will do exactly as I say. If you do not, you will die." The Vrex ambassador stood up. "You dare threaten the Galactic Council?" "My ship—" "Your ship is disabled," Zralth interrupted. "All ships are disabled. Station defenses are offline. Your security forces are dead. No one is coming to save you." He gestured with his weapon. "Sit down, Ambassador, or become an example." The Vrex ambassador sat down, slowly. His mandibles clicked softly. Fear. Elena remained standing. She looked at Zralth directly. "What do you want?" "The human asks the right question." Zralth walked closer to the human platform. "We want our people released from your prisons. We want our worlds returned. We want justice for the crimes committed against us." "The Kresh separatists committed acts of terrorism against civilian targets," the council leader said. His voice shook slightly. "Your people were tried fairly under galactic law." Zralth moved faster than his bulk suggested. He grabbed a young delegate from the Thalasi platform, a junior member, barely old enough to serve. The Kresh commander held his weapon to the delegate's head. "Was this fair?" Zralth asked. He pulled the trigger. The young Thalasi fell. Her sphere cracked. Water and blood mixed on the chamber floor. Several ambassadors screamed. The Thalassy ambassador made a sound like dying wind. The Vrex ambassador froze completely, all four arms locked in place. Marcus Webb did not move. His eyes flickered to Elena for just a moment. She gave the smallest shake of her head. Not yet. That is fairness, Zralth said. That is justice. Now you understand. You have 6 hours to meet our demands. If you do not, everyone dies. If you try to trick us, everyone dies. If rescue comes, everyone dies, he pointed at the ceiling. There are explosives throughout the station. I press one button, and we all meet whatever gods we pray to. Elena stepped forward. Just one step. Every weapon in the room turned toward her. Commander Zralth, I am Ambassador Elena Vasquez of Earth. I would like to negotiate terms. Zralth laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. The human wants to negotiate. The species that is not even a full council member wants to talk to me about terms. He walked toward her platform. Tell me, human, what makes you think you have anything I want? Because you did not kill me first, Elena said. Her voice did not change. Still calm. Still steady. You killed the youngest delegate in the room. The one with the least value. You are making a point. That means you want something beyond revenge. That means you can be reasoned with. Zralth stopped walking. He studied her for a long moment. You are either very brave or very stupid. I've been called both, Elena said, usually in the same meeting. Behind her, Marcus Webb adjusted his grip on the briefcase. His eyes scanned the room, counting terrorists, noting weapons, calculating distances. His face showed nothing, just a frightened aide hoping to survive, but his eyes never stopped moving. Everyone sit down, Zralth commanded. You will wait while we transmit our demands. If anyone moves without permission, they die. If anyone speaks without permission, someone else dies. Am I clear? The ambassadors sat, the most powerful beings in the galaxy, representing civilizations that had conquered stars, sat down like obedient children. They had lived too long in peace. They had forgotten what violence looked like up close. Elena sat down slowly. Marcus Webb remained standing behind her. No one told him to sit. No one remembered he was there. That was exactly how he wanted it. The council leader spoke quietly. This is unprecedented. Nothing like this has happened in 4,000 years. Then you were due, Elena said. She kept her eyes on Zralth. The Kresh commander was speaking into a communication device, making his demands, sending his threats. The Vrex ambassador leaned toward Elena. Your species fights wars. You must have warriors. Where are they? Can they help us? Elena did not look at him. Earth sent a diplomat, ambassador. That is all? Then we are doomed, the Vrex whispered. Marcus Webb stood in the shadows. His breathing was slow and even. His heartbeat was calm. He looked at each terrorist in turn, memorizing positions. Inside his briefcase, hidden in a special compartment, was a device. One button, one call. But that was not the protocol. Not yet, Elena was working. He was backup. That was the arrangement. He would wait. He was very good at waiting. He had waited in jungles and deserts and frozen mountains. He had waited in buildings that smelled like death. He had waited while men like Zralth thought they had won. Waiting was easy. It was everything that came after that required skill. The chamber fell into tense silence. Outside the windows, stars shone cold and distant. Inside, death had come to visit, and it had brought friends. 2 hours passed like years. The ambassadors sat in their places. No one spoke unless spoken to. 3 Kresh terrorists stood guard over them, while the rest worked on securing the station. Zralth paced back and forth at the center of the chamber. His weapon never lowered. The communication system crackled to life. A voice came through, speaking in Galactic Standard. Commander Zralth, this is Fleet Admiral Torvin. We have received your demands. We need time to process them. We need authorization from multiple governments. You have 4 hours left, Zralth said. Not 4 hours and 1 minute. Not 4 hours and 1 second. 4 hours. Then I start killing hostages. 1 every 10 minutes until you agree or until I run out of hostages. Be reasonable, the Admiral pleaded. Some of these prisoners are held on worlds weeks away from here. We cannot physically transport them in 4 hours. Zralth walked to the nearest ambassador, a being from the Quillix species covered in soft fur, with large eyes that showed every emotion. The ambassador trembled as Zralth pressed his weapon against the Quillix's head. Perhaps I need to demonstrate my seriousness again, Zralth said into the communicator. Wait. Elena stood up. Every weapon turned toward her again. Commander, killing another hostage proves nothing. The Admiral knows you are serious. Everyone knows you are serious. Sit down, human. No. Elena took a step forward. Marcus Webb tensed but did not move. You want your people freed. Killing these ambassadors does not free them. It only makes rescue teams less careful. It makes them willing to take risks. Risks that end with you dead and your cause failed. Srelth turned fully toward her. You give me advice on hostage-taking? What does a human know of such things? More than you might think. Elena kept her voice level. My world has a long history of conflicts. We have studied every form of warfare, including this one. I know what works and what does not. The Vrex ambassador hissed softly. The human speaks truth. They are experts at killing each other. Elena ignored him. Commander, you have demands. You have leverage. You have time. Use them wisely. The Admiral needs to coordinate with multiple governments. That is not a delay tactic. That is reality. Give them 6 hours instead of 4. Show that you can be reasonable. It makes them more likely to negotiate in good faith. Srelth studied her for a long moment. Why do you help me, human? Your council voted against your membership. These beings do not want you here. Why protect them? Because this is not about what they want, Elena said. This is about what is right. And killing people who cannot fight back is not right, not ever. Not for any cause. Pretty words from a species that drops bombs on cities. Yes, Elena agreed. We do terrible things. We know exactly how terrible we can be. That is why I know that more killing will not help you. It will only ensure that when this is over, no one remembers your cause. They will only remember the blood. Srelth was quiet for several seconds. Then he spoke into the communicator. Admiral, you have 6 hours from this moment. Not 4, 6, but if you waste my generosity, the price doubles. 2 hostages every 10 minutes. Am I clear? Perfectly clear, Commander. Thank you for the extension. We will do everything possible to meet your demands. The communication ended. Srelth looked at Elena. Sit down, Ambassador. Elena sat. The Quillix ambassador, still shaking, mouthed a silent thank you to her. Around the chamber, other ambassadors looked at the human with new expressions. Respect mixed with confusion. The Thalasi ambassador spoke quietly to Elena. Why did you do that? You could have been killed. Because someone needed to, Elena said simply. Marcus Webb remained standing behind her. His eyes had catalogued every detail of the room by now. He knew which terrorist was nervous, which one was too eager, which one kept his weapon on safety, which one might hesitate if things went wrong. He knew where every exit led, where the explosives were likely placed, how much time it would take to reach each position. He also knew that Elena was buying time for a reason. She always had a reason. Another hour passed. One of the Kresh terrorists brought water to the hostages. Not out of kindness. Srelth did not want anyone passing out before he could use them. The terrorist reached Marcus Webb and handed him a container. Thank you, Marcus said quietly. His voice was soft, forgettable. He took the water with shaking hands, like a man who had never held anything more dangerous than a pen. The terrorist grunted and moved on. He did not see Marcus's eyes following him. Did not notice how Marcus noted the weapon's model, the armor's weak points, the slight limp in the terrorist's left leg. Elena took a small sip of water. She caught Marcus's eye for just a second. He gave the smallest nod. She understood. He was ready whenever she needed him. But he would not act without her signal. That was the protocol. She was the diplomat. He was the last resort. Srelth received another communication. This time his expression changed. Anger, frustration. What do you mean the council refuses? I have given you time. I have been reasonable. The Admiral's voice was strained. The council is debating the precedent this sets. If they give in to your demands, it encourages others to take similar actions. They need more time to find a compromise. Compromise? Srelth roared. I do not want compromise. I want my people freed. All of them. Now. Commander, please. Srelth cut the communication. He turned to his soldiers. Bring me the Vrex ambassador. 2 Kresh terrorists grabbed the Vrex ambassador and dragged him to the center of the chamber. The ambassador's mandibles clicked rapidly. What are you doing? I am protected by galactic law. You cannot... You claimed earlier that you are warriors, Srelth said. Prove it, fight me. If you win, I extend my deadline another 6 hours. If you lose, you die. Either way, the Council sees what happens when they waste my time. The Vrex ambassador tried to pull away. His forearms flailed. This is barbaric. We do not settle matters with physical combat anymore. We are civilized. Then die civilized, Zeralth said. The Vrex ambassador had no choice. Zeralth's soldiers released him and stepped back. The Vrex ambassador was larger than Zeralth. He had 4 arms to the Kresh commanders too. His species had been warriors once, thousands of years ago, but that was thousands of years ago. The fight lasted less than a minute. The Vrex ambassador charged forward, trying to use his bulk. Zeralth stepped aside easily. The ambassador swung with all 4 arms. Zeralth blocked, redirected, struck back. The Vrex ambassador fell. He tried to get up. Zeralth hit him again, and again. When it was over, the Vrex ambassador lay on the floor, breathing heavily. Not dead, but beaten, humiliated. This is what your civilization has become, Zeralth announced to the chamber. You have forgotten how to fight, how to struggle, how to survive. You sit in your comfortable chambers and make laws, but you have no strength to enforce them. You are prey pretending to be predators. Elena stood up again. Commander Zeralth, what now, human? You have made your point. The Council sees what you can do, but the Vrex ambassador is right about one thing. We are supposed to be civilized. That means we solve problems with words when possible and force only when necessary. Zeralth laughed. And which is this? Words or force? That depends on you, Elena said. You can be remembered as the commander who fought for his people's freedom, or you can be remembered as the terrorist who murdered ambassadors. History is written by how this ends, not how it begins. More pretty words. True words, Elena corrected. You are Kresh, your people have a saying. The stone that will not bend must break. Right now, you are that stone, Commander. Unbending. But if you break, your cause breaks with you. Something flickered in Zeralth's eyes. Surprise, perhaps. You know Kresh sayings? I know many things about many species, Elena said. That is my job. Understanding people. Understanding cultures. Understanding what drives them. She paused. I understand you, Commander. You are not a monster. You are desperate. But desperate people make mistakes. Do not let this be yours. Zeralth stared at her. The entire chamber held its breath. Marcus Webb's muscles coiled slightly, ready to spring. But Elena gave no signal. Finally, Zeralth turned away. Sit down, human. Your words buy you nothing but time. And time is running out for everyone. Elena sat down. But she had bought something more valuable than time. She had bought doubt. And doubt was a weapon sharper than any blade. 3 hours left on the deadline. The air in the chamber grew stale. The environmental systems were damaged but still working, barely. Elena noticed several of the terrorists shifting their weight more often. Tired, tense. Good. Tired people made mistakes. She also noticed something else. The terrorists were not unified. Some looked at Zeralth with complete loyalty. Others glanced at him with uncertainty. One in particular, a younger Kresh near the eastern exit, kept looking away when Zeralth gave orders to hurt someone. Elena filed that information away. Every detail mattered. Zeralth received another communication. His posture stiffened as he listened. When he spoke, his voice was tight with barely controlled rage. 2 prisoners, 2 out of 47. That is your answer? The Admiral's voice was apologetic. We are working on the others, Commander. The governments are coordinating. 2 is a show of good faith. We are trying. Trying is not succeeding. Zeralth cut the communication. He turned to his second in command. Bring me another hostage, the council leader. The ancient crystalline being was dragged to the center of the chamber. He did not struggle. His species had existed for millions of years. They had seen civilizations rise and fall. He looked at Zeralth with eyes that held no fear, only sadness. You are making a mistake, young one, the council leader said. His voice resonated like chimes. Violence breeds only violence. It has always been so. It will always be so. Then let violence answer violence, Zeralth said, raising his weapon. Elena stood up fast. Wait, I have a proposal. Sit down, human. I am done with your words. One proposal, one chance. If you refuse, I will not speak again. Elena did not sit. Take me instead. The chamber erupted in whispers. Marcus Webb's eyes widened slightly, but he made no other movement. Zeralth lowered his weapon an inch. What? Release all the other hostages, Elena said. Keep only me. I will be your sole prisoner. One human life for dozens of others. It is a fair trade. Elena, no. The council leader shook his head. We cannot allow this. With respect, council leader, you cannot stop it. Elena walked down from her platform. She moved slowly, hands visible, non-threatening. Commander Zeralth, think about this strategically. Right now you hold ambassadors from 12 species. Every government wants their representative back. That means 12 different negotiations, 12 different demands, 12 opportunities for confusion and failure. She stopped a few feet from Zeralth, close enough to show she was not afraid. Not so close that he would feel threatened. But if you hold only me, you deal with one government, Earth. My people will negotiate in good faith if they know I am the only one at risk. And if something goes wrong, only one person dies instead of dozens. Your cause does not get buried under a mountain of innocent bodies. Zeralth studied her. Why would you do this? These beings do not even want your species in their council. They look down on you. They call you primitive. Why sacrifice yourself for them? Because that is what humans do, Elena said simply. We fight for people who cannot fight for themselves. Even if they do not like us, even if they will never thank us. We do it because it is right. The young Kresh terrorist near the eastern exit looked at Elena with something like respect. Others shifted uncomfortably. This was not what they expected from the prey species. She lies, one of the older terrorists said. This is a trick. Humans are known for their deceptions. Then what is the trick? Elena asked, turning to face him. What do I gain by offering myself as a hostage? If your commander accepts, you still have leverage. You still have your explosives. You still control the station. The only difference is that everyone else goes free. She turned back to Zeralth. Unless you want them here. Unless you want the complexity. Unless you are not as confident as you appear. Zeralth's eyes narrowed. You try to manipulate me. I try to offer you a better path, Elena said. One that ends with your people freed and your cause remembered with honor. Not infamy. The council leader spoke again. Commander, if you accept this, Earth's government will be far more willing to negotiate. The human species is protective of their own to an extreme degree. They will move mountains to save one of their people. But they will also be grateful if you treat her well. Gratitude opens doors that threats cannot. Zeralth was silent for a long moment. The entire chamber waited. Finally he spoke. You interest me, human. You are either the bravest or the most foolish being I have ever met. He gestured to his soldiers. Release the other hostages. Keep the human. And her aide. Marcus Webb's head snapped up. Me? Yes, you, Zeralth pointed at him. The human ambassador does not go anywhere without her aid. I have watched you standing there quiet and afraid. If I separate you, she might try something brave and stupid to save you. So you both stay. Marcus looked at Elena. She gave him a small nod. It is all right, Marcus. We will be fine. The other ambassadors were escorted to the escape pods. Some protested. Most were simply grateful to be alive. The council leader paused before leaving. Ambassador Vasquez, your courage will be remembered. Just make sure my government knows to negotiate, Elena said. No rescue attempts, no tricks. Clean negotiation. That is the only way this ends well. Within 20 minutes, the chamber was nearly empty. Only Elena, Marcus, and the 20 Kresh terrorists remained. The odds had not improved. If anything, they were worse. But the variables were simpler now. Zeralth sat in the council leader's chair. You have bought yourself time, human. But time runs out for everyone. My deadline still stands. 3 hours. If Earth does not meet my demands, you die. Then I hope my government is as smart as I think they are, Elena said. She sat down on the floor. Marcus stood behind her, still holding his briefcase. Now that the other hostages were gone, the terrorists relaxed slightly. They saw one unarmed woman and one terrified aide. No threat. That was their first mistake. Elena spoke loud enough for all the terrorists to hear. Commander Zeralth, may I ask you something personal? You may ask. I may not answer. Your second in command, the one who said I was lying. What is his name? Zeralth frowned. Kelvor, why? Kelvor lost family in the council's raid on Station Kresh 7, Elena said. His wife and 2 children. They were in the residential sector when the bombs fell. The entire room went still. Kelvor stared at Elena. How do you know that? Because I read the casualty reports, Elena said. All of them. Every name. Every family. I wanted to understand what drove you to this point. She looked around at the other terrorists. Vesha near the east exit. You lost your brother. Troll by the door. Your parents. Zeralth himself lost his sister and her entire family. Stop, Zeralth said, but his voice lacked force. Why? Elena asked. These are your reasons. These are your losses. The Council should know them. The galaxy should know them. Your cause is not just about politics. It is about people. About families destroyed. About pain that never heals. Vesha, the young terrorist by the eastern exit, lowered his weapon slightly. The Council never acknowledged our losses. They said it was necessary. Collateral damage. I know, Elena said quietly. And that was wrong. What happened to your people was a tragedy. The Council should have done more to prevent civilian casualties. Should have offered reparations. Should have acknowledged the pain they caused. Pretty words again, Kelvor spat. What good are words to the dead? None, Elena admitted. Words do not bring back the dead, but they can prevent more death. They can make sure what happened to your families does not happen to others. Zeralth stood up. Enough. You think you can divide my soldiers with sympathy? We are unified. We know our cause is just. I do not doubt your cause is just, Elena said. I doubt your methods will achieve it. Commander, you asked me earlier what my trick was. Do you want to know the truth? Tell me. Elena smiled, but it was not a pleasant smile. My government sent me here with a single aide. No guards, no soldiers, no weapons. Do you know why? Because you are arrogant. No, Elena said. Because we wanted to see what you would do, how you would react, what kind of people you really are. She stood up slowly. And now we know. You are desperate. You are hurt. You are angry. But you are not monsters. You hesitate before killing. You extended deadlines. You accepted my offer to release the other hostages. You are people trying to save your people. What is your point, human? My point is that Earth's government is not in the station, Elena said. It is not in the fleet outside. It is not even in this star system. She paused. It is standing right behind me. Every eye turned to Marcus Webb. Marcus looked up slowly. For the first time since the crisis began, he met their eyes directly, and what they saw there made several of them take an involuntary step back. Diplomacy first, Marcus said quietly. His voice was different now, harder, colder. That is always the protocol. Ambassador Vasquez negotiates. She finds peaceful solutions. She saves lives. He set down his briefcase carefully. But if diplomacy fails, protocol changes. Zeralth raised his weapon. What are you saying? Marcus smiled. It was not a nice smile. I am saying that your intelligence was incomplete. You thought Earth sent a diplomat. You were right, but you did not think to ask what else we sent. You are just an aide. No, Marcus said. I am really not. The briefcase hit the floor. The sound echoed through the chamber like a gunshot. Every terrorist flinched. Marcus Webb did not. He stepped forward, and the change was immediate. His posture shifted from hunched and fearful to balanced and controlled. His eyes, which had spent hours looking at the floor, now scanned the room with surgical precision. His breathing remained calm, but his presence filled the space like a gathering storm. Final warning, Marcus said. His voice was quiet, almost gentle. Lower your weapons. Release Ambassador Vasquez. Leave the station peacefully. You have 5 seconds to comply. Kelvor laughed. You think you can threaten us? There are 20 of us. 20 armed soldiers. You are one man. 4 seconds. Zeralth aimed his weapon at Marcus. Stay where you are or I will kill you. 3 seconds. You are insane, Vesha said from the eastern exit. But his voice wavered. Something primal in his brain was screaming danger. Every instinct developed over millions of years of evolution was telling him to run. 2 seconds. Elena sat down calmly. She knew what was coming. She had seen it once before, during an incident on a mining colony. The memory still gave her nightmares. But sometimes nightmares were necessary. 1 second. Zeralth pulled the trigger. Marcus moved. He was not there when the energy bolt passed through the space his head had occupied. He was already rolling forward impossibly fast. His hand grabbed a piece of debris from the damaged floor. A jagged piece of metal roughly the size of a dinner plate. He threw it. The metal spun through the air. It struck Zeralth's weapon with perfect precision, tearing it from his hands. Before Zeralth could react, Marcus was on him. 3 strikes, precise and brutal. Zralth fell, gasping for air. The other terrorists opened fire. Energy bolts filled the chamber. But Marcus was already moving again. He used the council platforms as cover, moving between them with fluid grace. Each movement was economical, perfect. No wasted motion, no hesitation. A terrorist near the western exit aimed carefully, tracking Marcus's movement. Marcus grabbed one of the council chairs and hurled it. The chair, heavy enough to require 2 normal humans to lift, flew across the chamber. It hit the terrorist, sending him crashing into the wall. Kelvor charged forward, roaring. He fired repeatedly. Marcus dodged between the bolts. When he was close enough, he grabbed Kelvor's weapon arm. There was a sharp crack. Kelvor screamed. His arm bent at an angle arms should not bend. Marcus relieved him of his weapon in the same motion, then swept Kelvor's legs out from under him. 7 down, Marcus said calmly. 13 remaining. Last chance to surrender. 2 terrorists tried to flank him from different sides. Marcus dropped to one knee, aimed Kelvor's weapon, and fired twice. Perfect shots. Both terrorists fell, stunned but alive. The weapon had a stun setting. Marcus had found it instantly. 9 down. 11 remaining. Vesha backed toward the exit. His weapon shook in his hands. "What are you?" Marcus looked at him. For a moment his expression softened. "I am what my species creates when we need to protect the innocent. I am what happens when you threaten people who cannot fight back." He paused. "I am sorry it came to this, Vesha, I truly am." Vesha dropped his weapon and ran. He made it 3 steps before Marcus's shot caught him. The young Kresh fell, unconscious but unharmed. 10 down. 10 remaining. The other terrorists tried coordinated fire. They had trained for this. They knew tactics. But tactics assumed a normal opponent. Marcus Webb was not normal. He moved through their firing patterns like water flowing around stones. When he needed cover, he created it, throwing debris, overturning platforms, using the environment itself as a weapon. When he needed an angle, he found it, sometimes taking shots that seemed impossible. A terrorist tried to circle behind Elena. Marcus was there first. The terrorist had time to see him, time to try raising his weapon, not enough time to use it. Marcus disarmed him, disabled him, and moved on. The entire encounter took less than 3 seconds. 15 down, 5 remaining. The remaining terrorists bunched together near the main entrance. Safety in numbers, they thought. They concentrated their fire on one spot, trying to force Marcus into a kill zone. Marcus stopped moving. He stood in the open, completely exposed. 5 weapons aimed at him, 5 terrorists ready to fire. Elena closed her eyes. She knew this part too. "Do you know what makes humans dangerous?" Marcus asked. His voice carried across the chamber. "It is not that we are strong. Other species are stronger. It is not that we are fast. Other species are faster. It is not even that we are smart, though we are smart enough." He took 1 step forward. "What makes us dangerous is that we refuse to quit. We refuse to surrender. We refuse to die. We are the species that hunted mammoths with sharpened sticks, that crossed oceans in wooden boats, that walked on our moon using computers less powerful than your weapons." Another step forward. "We are the species that turned warfare into a science, that studied every possible way to hurt and kill and destroy. Not because we are evil, but because for most of our history everything on our planet was trying to kill us. So we learned. We adapted. We became very, very good at surviving." Another step. The terrorists' fingers tightened on their triggers. But they hesitated. Predator instinct. The recognition that they were not the hunters here. "I have been trained since I was 18 years old," Marcus continued. "Trained in every form of combat. Every weapon. Every tactic. Trained by the best soldiers humanity has ever produced. Trained until it became instinct. Until I could kill in my sleep." He stopped 10 feet from the remaining terrorists. "But more than that, I have been trained in something your species forgot millennia ago. I have been trained to choose. To use violence only when necessary. To protect rather than destroy. To be a sheepdog, not a wolf." Marcus raised his weapon. Not aimed at them. Aimed at the ceiling. "I'm going to fire this weapon now. When I do, it will hit the explosive charge you placed in the central support beam. The explosion will be contained, but the shock will stun everyone in this immediate area except me. I have a neural dampener that will protect me. You do not." "You are bluffing," one of the terrorists said. "If you know where the explosives are, you would have disabled them." "I did disable them," Marcus said. "All except that one. I left it armed specifically for this moment. He smiled, and it was terrifying. I have been planning this since the first explosion. Every movement has been calculated, every position memorized, every shot placed precisely where I wanted it. He looked at each terrorist in turn. I am giving you a choice now. Drop your weapons and surrender, or wake up in medical custody and face trial. Either way, this ends in 5 seconds. 4 of the 5 terrorists looked at each other. They dropped their weapons and raised their hands. The 5th, loyalty or stupidity, kept his weapon raised. Your choice, Marcus said. He fired. The bolt hit the ceiling. The explosion was shaped, directed exactly as Marcus had predicted. The shockwave rolled through the chamber. The last terrorist fell unconscious. The others who had surrendered stayed on their feet, hands still raised. Marcus lowered his weapon. He walked to Zralth, who was struggling to sit up. The Kresh commander looked at Marcus with a mixture of fear and respect. How? Zralth asked. How did you know where every explosive was? How did you move like that? How did you predict everything? Marcus knelt down beside him. Because this is what I do, Commander. This is what I am. Earth does not send diplomats into dangerous situations alone. We always send protection. You just never see us until it is too late. He produced restraints from a hidden pocket and secured Zralth's hands. For what it is worth, Commander, I agree with Ambassador Vasquez. Your cause is just, your losses were real. The Council should have done better. He paused. But this was not the way. Violence never is. Not when other options exist. Station security finally arrived, weapons drawn. They stopped at the entrance, staring at the scene. 20 terrorists, all disabled or detained. 1 human standing among them. 1 human sitting calmly on the floor. The security commander, a Thalassi in combat armor, approached slowly. What happened here? Elena stood up and brushed off her suit. Commander Zralth and his soldiers have been subdued. They will need medical attention, but none of their injuries are life-threatening. I recommend treating them with dignity and respect. They are prisoners now, but they deserve basic decency. But how did you? The security commander looked at Marcus. Who are you? Marcus Webb, he said. Personal security specialist assigned to Ambassador Vasquez. One man did all this? Marcus picked up his briefcase. Diplomacy first, Commander. Always diplomacy first. Force is only for when all other options are exhausted. He walked back to Elena and took his position 2 steps behind her and slightly to the left. His posture returned to its previous state. Hunched, forgettable, unthreatening. But now, everyone in the chamber knew the truth. The aide who looked like nothing was actually death waiting patiently in the shadows. Elena addressed the security commander. The hostages have been released. They should be safe in the escape pods. Please retrieve them and provide medical care as needed. As for the Kresh prisoners, I would like to be involved in their interrogation. They have grievances that deserve to be heard. You want to help the people who tried to kill you? I want to help prevent the next tragedy, Elena said. That is my job. Understanding people, finding solutions, building bridges. She glanced back at Ma. The emergency council session convened 48 hours after the incident. The chamber had been repaired. The blood had been cleaned. The scars remained hidden, but everyone who had been there remembered. The entire galaxy knew what had happened. The footage had spread across every network, every channel, every communication system. 1 human. 20 armed terrorists, less than 5 minutes. The viewing numbers were unprecedented. Analysts debated. Military experts argued. Conspiracy theorists claimed the footage was fake. But everyone who had been in that chamber knew the truth. They had seen death move among them, wearing a forgettable face and a gray suit. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood at the human platform once again. Marcus Webb stood behind her, exactly 2 steps back and slightly to the left. He looked the same as always, bland, forgettable. But now every eye in the chamber saw him differently. Now they knew. The council leader called the session to order. His crystalline form had been repaired, but he moved more carefully than before. Being dragged to the center of a chamber to face execution changed even beings who had lived for millions of years. This session is called to address 3 matters, the council leader announced. First, the Kresh separatist incident and its resolution. Second, Earth's petition for full council membership. Third, the revelation of human security protocols and their implications for galactic law. The Vrex ambassador stood. His mandibles were bandaged. His pride was still broken. I wish to speak first. Recognized. The Vrex ambassador looked directly at Elena. I objected to humanity's council membership. I called your species weak. I called you savages. I was wrong, he paused. Not about the savage part. What Marcus Webb did in that chamber was savage. It was brutal. It was terrifying. Another pause. It was also necessary. It saved every life in that chamber, including mine. He gestured with one of his forearms. My species ruled a third of this galaxy once. We were warriors. We conquered worlds. We fought wars that lasted centuries, but we gave up violence 10,000 years ago. We evolved beyond it, we thought. We became civilized. His voice dropped. We became weak. The Vrex ambassador makes an interesting point, the Thalasi ambassador said. All of our species abandoned personal violence millennia ago. We created laws and systems and protocols. We assumed everyone would follow them. But what happens when someone does not? What happens when terrorists attack? When criminals strike? When violence comes to us? We call security, the Quillix ambassador said. That is what civilized beings do. And if security does not arrive in time? Elena asked quietly. What then? Silence filled the chamber. Humans never forgot violence, Elena continued. We did not evolve beyond it. We did not abandon it. We mastered it. We turned it into a science. We studied every way to hurt and kill and destroy. Then we made a choice. She looked around the chamber. We chose to use that knowledge only to protect, only to defend, only when absolutely necessary. But we never lost the ability. We never forgot the skills. We just learned when to use them and when not to. The council leader spoke. This brings us to the third matter. Ambassador Vasquez, how many humans like Marcus Webb are there? How many security specialists are embedded with your diplomats? Every human representative in alien space has protection, Elena said. Every diplomat, every scientist, every trade representative, every student. We do not send our people into unknown situations without the ability to protect themselves. The chamber erupted. Ambassadors spoke over each other. The security commander demanded answers. The military liaisons looked alarmed. Order. The council leader's voice rang like a bell. Order in this chamber. When silence returned, he continued. Ambassador Vasquez, this is a significant revelation. You have essentially deployed a covert military force across the galaxy without informing the council. With respect, council leader, no. Elena remained calm. We have deployed protective personnel. They are not soldiers. They do not engage in offensive operations. They do not carry out missions. They do one thing and one thing only. They keep their assigned personnel safe. Marcus Webb has been my security specialist for 6 years. He has never drawn a weapon except in that chamber. He has never harmed anyone except to prevent greater harm. Marcus finally spoke. I have stood in hundreds of meetings, attended thousands of negotiations, been present at diplomatic functions across 20 star systems. No one ever knew I was anything more than an aide, because I am only more than an aide when I have to be. And how often is that? The Vrex ambassador asked. Twice in 6 years, Marcus said. The incident 48 hours ago, and one other time on a mining colony when a labor dispute turned violent. Both times I acted only to protect Ambassador Vasquez and other innocents. Both times I used the minimum force necessary. Both times everyone survived. The Thalasi ambassador raised a tentacle. I am trying to understand. You are trained killers, but you choose not to kill. You are capable of terrible violence, but you restrain that violence. You could have killed every terrorist in that chamber in seconds, but you disabled them instead. Why? Elena smiled. Because that is what separates us from the monsters. Anyone can kill. Anyone can hurt. Anyone can destroy. Those are easy. What is hard is choosing not to. What is hard is using just enough force to stop the threat and no more. What is hard is being strong enough to be gentle. Pretty philosophy, the Vrex ambassador said, but it does not change facts. Humans are the most dangerous species in this galaxy. More dangerous than we ever were because you are dangerous while appearing harmless. Is that a problem? Elena asked. The Vrex ambassador was quiet for a moment. Then he made a sound that translated as laughter. No, it is brilliant. It is terrifying. But it is brilliant. He looked at the other ambassadors. I change my vote. Humanity should be granted full council membership. Not despite their capacity for violence, but because of it. The galaxy needs protectors. We have forgotten how to protect ourselves. Humans remember. The Thalasi ambassador agreed. I support this, but with conditions. Human security personnel must be registered. We must know who they are, where they are. Absolutely not, Elena said. The moment you register them, they lose effectiveness. The moment everyone knows who the protectors are, the protectors become targets. Do you want Marcus Webb standing in meetings where everyone knows he is the deadliest person in the room? Or do you want him invisible, unnoticed, able to do his job without becoming a focal point? The council leader considered this. A compromise. Human security personnel will be registered with council security only. Not publicly, not even with individual ambassadors from other species. But our security forces will know so they do not interfere if another incident occurs. Elena looked at Marcus. He gave the smallest nod. She turned back to the council. Acceptable. Then let us vote, the council leader said. All in favor of granting humanity full council membership? Every hand, tentacle, appendage, and limb rose. Unanimous. Earth is now a full member of the Galactic Council, the council leader announced. Welcome, Ambassador Vasquez. Welcome to humanity. The chamber erupted in applause. While what passed for applause among 12 different species, Elena bowed her head slightly in acknowledgement. When the noise died down, the Quillix ambassador spoke. I have one more question, if I may. Recognized. Ambassador Vasquez, you said that every human representative has protection. Does that mean there are hundreds, perhaps thousands of people like Marcus Webb across the galaxy? Elena smiled. It was not a comforting smile. Yes, and they are all as skilled as he is. Most are more skilled, Marcus said quietly. I am good at my job, but I am not the best humanity has to offer. Not even close. The implications settled over the chamber like a heavy blanket. Thousands of humans, spread across the galaxy, each one capable of what Marcus Webb had done. Each one invisible, each one waiting. You are playing a dangerous game, the Vrex ambassador said. What if one of these specialists decides to use their skills for something other than protection? What if they turn rogue? Then we send someone to stop them, Elena said. We police our own. Always have. Always will. That is part of the responsibility. If you have the ability to cause harm, you have the responsibility to prevent it, even if it means stopping your own people. The council leader stood. The session is concluded, but I believe we will be discussing this matter for years to come. Humanity has changed the equation. You have reminded us that peace is not the absence of violence. It is violence held in check by choice, the ambassadors filed out. Elena remained at her platform for a moment, looking at the repaired chamber. Marcus stepped up beside her. Did we do the right thing? He asked quietly. I do not know, Elena admitted. We revealed something that perhaps should have stayed hidden. But after what happened, there was no choice. They needed to understand. Understand what? That humanity's greatest strength is not that we are warriors, Elena said. It is that we are warriors who chose to be diplomats first. We know what war costs. We know what violence destroys, so we choose words over weapons whenever possible. But we never forget how to fight. Marcus was quiet for a moment. For what it is worth,